Let me tell you about a story that I only kept in very close circles. It's a story about a trade that made a lot of money, but at the same time it could have turned into the
worst trade
of the entire year. It's a story about making money when the regular retail guy gets ripped off. It's a story about fights within a team where most team members left. It's a story where the community members of this channel almost very closely lost $16,000. So in case you're not yet aware, there is the premium membership of this channel, and people that are within that group, they can deposit to a premium community pool. So we as a community, we trade, we try to outperform the market. You can simply deposit your wrapped BNB and 3 months later you will get more wrapped BNB back if we succeed in our trading. Now within the Telegram groups of the premium membership, we had a grand plan. We had the plan to bet on falling prices of the Blur token. Now what's so special about the Blur token? It's the token inflation. It's the unlock. The team gets access to Blur tokens. What you're seeing here is how the supply of Blur expands over time. And even 1 year from now, the supply of Blur token will grow by more than 80%. But it grew even more than that before, right? We had this massive cliff unlock recently. So that was the plan, right? The supply expands, the demand doesn't grow as quickly, so the price should go down as the team is selling off their tokens. And it did work out very nicely. This is the Blur chart relative to Ethereum, which went down by 60% roughly since we first discussed this in the membership. And so on paper, we had a lot of gains on paper. In order to bet on falling prices of that Blur token, we had to borrow the Blur token. So you take on a loan denominated in Blur tokens, you wait for the Blur price to go down relative to Ethereum or to Bitcoin, and then once it's down enough, once you want to take profit, that's then when you pay back the loan, right? So you take whatever you have, say your Bitcoin, you swap it back to Blur tokens, and then you make the delta, you make the difference. Now, when we tried to take profit, there was an issue. The platform we used, Paraspace, or now called ParaX, made a migration. So we opened the position, but while we had the position open, the platform gradually moved their funds to the new technology. That meant that our position on the old platform had no liquidity anymore. We had deposited wrapped BNB. We couldn't get the wrapped BNB out anymore because somebody else borrowed that already. The wrapped BNB was in somebody else's wallet. And so we ended up with 0.6 wrapped Bitcoin stuck on the platform. We couldn't withdraw those $16,000 roughly. So it looked like the best trade in the entire community pool while we had that open turned out to be the worst trade. We simply couldn't get our money back. So then we reached out to the team, right? We first messaged on Discord. We didn't get too much support there. Then we messaged to various people on LinkedIn, various team members. So luckily, this is not an anonymous team there. We could reach out to them. And we did get a reply, but we didn't get our funds directly. Turned out, in order to plug this liquidity hole that opened up during this migration, the treasury funds had to be used. But unfortunately, the founder did not have full access to the treasury because it's a multi-sig wallet. Now, a multi-sig wallet for a treasury is nothing special, but the problem is that team, the people that had access to that multi-sig, the other members, they had left the company. And the team members, right, the people that left, they did not necessarily leave on good terms. So to get our funds, we had to get a signature on a transaction by a team member that was clashing, that was fighting in dispute with the current leadership. That was the position we were in. The plan was so perfect. The price moved exactly how we anticipated. And now we are stuck in this random liquidity crisis caused by a migration. I will spare you the details of the conversation because in the end we did get our funds out. It all worked out well. The story does have a happy ending. We ended the roughly 3 months of the first batch of the community pool with a net profit of roughly 8.5%, which is more or less the target. We're targeting to get 40% per annum over just buying and holding Bitcoin. There is a massive learning in all of this though. Whenever you use any decentralized application, make sure you do your due diligence. We could have known about this before. The news about the team clash was out already before we opened the position. We simply didn't make enough due diligence. Make sure that whatever DeFi platform you use has known faces behind them, that it's not an anonymous team. Imagine the Paraspace or ParaX team was completely anonymous. Then I could not have reached out via LinkedIn. Then I would have had to rely on Discord. But Discord at that time didn't help much. You don't just have the risk of being on the right side of the trade, you also have platform risk. And the platform risk does not only exist for centralized exchanges when FTX goes bust, it also very much exists for decentralized applications when something with the smart contracts is off or when the team suddenly runs away with the funds. This luckily did not happen here. We did get away from all of this with a blue eye. And the short that we made on Blur did make us a handsome profit. And as said, Blur is still very inflationary. Blur still gets sold by the team. Blur is very likely going to continue to lose against Ethereum. And if you want to bet on falling prices, ParaX is the only place in Web3 where you can currently do this. My experience with the platform was mixed, right? On the one hand, we got our money back. On the other hand, this could have happened way faster. If I was to open the same position again, we've now closed this already, right? Batch number 1 is done. But if I was to open this again, I'd probably take a centralized exchange. So diversification is a real thing. It's not just diversification across different assets, as in where it's the price moving. It's also diversification across different platforms. Don't have all your crypto in just Binance. Don't have all your crypto in just Aave or in Paraspace or in Venus Finance, whatever the Web3 application is, right? Spread across different platforms as well, because you never know what happens to that specific platform. Stupid people learn from experience. Smart people hopefully learn from the mistake of others. Feel free to learn more from us. Join our Telegram. Link is down below.